There is a plant that pulls nitrogen from the air and deposits it into your soil for free, forever. Not with chemicals, not with machinery, not with a purchase order, with roots. Bacterial roots that work silently through winter. It feeds the earth after every season without being asked. 1 acre of it delivers the equivalent of 200 pounds of synthetic fertilizer. The same amount a farmer pays $174 to purchase from a factory. Roman farmers planted it 2,000 years ago. Medieval peasants rotated it into dying fields and watched grain yields triple. American frontier homesteaders carefully seeded it between harvests to keep the land alive. Then, in a single post-war decade, it vanished. From fields, from seed, catalogs, from agricultural memory. Replaced by a product you had to purchase each season. Because what restores itself cannot be sold. This is the story of clover. The global synthetic nitrogen fertilizer market generates $200 billion annually. Yara International, CF Industries, Nutrien, and Koch Agronomic Services control that market. Every dollar in that market depends on one assumption, that farmers cannot feed their soil without purchasing nitrogen from a factory. Clover directly destroys that assumption. It cannot be patented. It cannot create annual purchase dependency. It cannot generate any perpetual revenue. So they reclassified it, not as a crop, as a weed. Welcome to Hidden Herbcraft. Before we open this vault, if these stories matter to you, the best way to preserve this wisdom is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell, share these vaults with those who need to remember what we forgot. Archive opens in Rome, 37p. The poet Virgil is writing the Georgics, a 4-volume agricultural manual addressed to Roman farmers. In Book 1, he names the plants that restore exhausted fields. Among them, trifolium, the 3-leafed herb, clover, planted in the 4th year of rotation. Virgil instructs, and your grain field will come back stronger than before. This is not poetry. This is agronomic prescription. Written 2,000 years before the first bag of synthetic nitrogen was ever sold. Move forward to medieval Europe, 800 AD. Benedictine monks at monasteries across France, Germany, and England practiced the 3-field system. 1 field grows wheat. 1 field grows rye. The 3rd rests, seeded with clover and vetch. The monks do not yet understand nitrogen. They know only that the rested field, the clover field, yields more grain the following season. They have found the answer without the question. The Roman agricultural writer Columella, writing in his De Re Rustica in 65 AD, calls plowing fresh green clover into soil the cheapest soil amendment any farmer can use. In 1886, 2 German botanists, Hermann Hellriegel and Wilhelm Wilfarth, give it the scientific language. Working in the sandy soils of Brandenburg, they cut open clover roots and find them studded with small pink nodules containing colonies of rhizobium bacteria. These bacteria, Hellriegel publishes in 1888, extract nitrogen gas directly from the atmosphere and convert it to ammonia in the soil. The same compound farmers were paying to import by ship from Chile as saltpeter. 2,000 years of accumulated agricultural practice confirmed in a single laboratory. The plant had always known, science was only now catching up. Peyote CO2. Trifolium repens grows low and wide, spreading by stolons across the ground like a slow green tide. Each leaf is a perfect trio of rounded leaflets, pale-veined, soft as young skin, faintly sweet when crushed between the fingers. The flower is a dense white globe, fragrant enough that bees abandon other blooms to reach it. Red clover, Trifolium pertense, grows taller, its flower a deep magenta globe on an upright stem. Both species are perennial. Both spread freely without planting. Beneath the surface, their roots form pale nodules of living nitrogen quietly recharging the earth without interruption, season after season, without purchase, without permission, is 1943. German forces have occupied the Netherlands for 3 years. The Wehrmacht controls fuel, food distribution, and fertilizer supply chains. Dutch farmers who had adopted synthetic nitrogen from imported Chilean saltpeter since the 1920s are now completely cut off. The supply chain is broken in the Veluwe region of central Holland. 2 farming communities faced the same crisis differently. Farmers who had converted fully to synthetic nitrogen watched their fields decline through the winter of 1943 and into 1944. Without purchased nitrogen, grain yields fall 60% by the second season. Farmers in the same region who had maintained clover rotations, the older farms, the ones that planted the way their grandparents had, continue to produce. Their clover fixes 150 to 200 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. Their fields hold. This is not coincidence. It is the difference between dependency and resilience. One farming community watched its fields collapse without foreign nitrogen. The other, the one that remembered how to work with the land, did not. The hunger winter of 1944 kills 18,000 Dutch civilians in the occupied western provinces, one of the worst civilian famines in modern European history. In the eastern provinces where clover rotation farming persisted, the famine is less severe. Livestock survive on clover hay. Families draw dairy through the blockade from clover-fed cattle. Across the Channel, the British government understood this precisely. The 1941 National Farm Survey recorded which farms maintained legume rotations. The Ministry of Agriculture actively promoted clover seeding in every county digest, published between 1940 and 1945. When U-boat blockades threatened synthetic supply lines, clover was classified as emergency agricultural infrastructure. After liberation in 1945, Dutch and British farmers did not expand their clover fields. They abandoned them. American Marshall Plan aid arrived with cheap synthetic fertilizer, powerful, immediate, easier than rotation management. The crisis ended. The memory faded. Within 15 years, a generation of European farmers had grown up without planting a single clover rotation. The plant that kept their parents alive in winter became, in peacetime prosperity, a nuisance in the grass. 1 hectare of clover fixes between 100 and 200 kilograms of atmospheric nitrogen per year, the equivalent of 435 to 870 pounds of ammonium nitrate fertilizer at a market value of $87 to $174 per acre at pay. Current CF Industries pricing: 0 synthetic input, 0 irrigation, 0 annual purchase. A 2019 study in Field Crops Research tracked soil organic carbon in clover rotation fields versus synthetic nitrogen-only fields over 12 years. Clover fields showed 34% higher soil carbon, 18% higher microbial biomass, and 22% lower nitrous oxide emissions than the synthetic plots. Nitrous oxide, the greenhouse gas released when synthetic nitrogen breaks down in soil, is 273 times more potent than carbon dioxide over a 100-year window. Every kilogram of synthetic nitrogen fertilizer applied to farm soil releases approximately 0.9% as nitrous oxide gas. Red clover specifically contains isoflavones, phytoestrogens studied for reducing LDL cholesterol and managing menopause symptoms. A 2007 Cochrane review of 17 clinical trials found standardized red clover isoflavone extract reduced hot flash frequency by 44%. Biochanin A and formononetin, clover's primary isoflavones, show measurable cardiovascular and anti-inflammatory benefits in published peer-reviewed trials. Both species contain quercetin and camphorol, flavonoids linked to reduced inflammatory cytokine markers in a 2021 nutrients meta-analysis. Clover also suppresses weeds mechanically, feeds pollinators, and breaks the pest cycles that monocrops concentrate year after year. It is, in agricultural science terms, a system-level ecological solution. Folk wisdom validated by science. So why did $200 billion worth of industry work to remove it from every field, every lawn, and every seed catalog in America? File the money and the chemistry. The Haber-Bosch process, developed by Fritz Haber and Karl Bosch at BASF between 1909 and 1913, synthesizes ammonia from atmospheric nitrogen at industrial scale. It is the single invention most credited with enabling a global population of 8 billion people. It also made clover economically inconvenient. Not because clover economically inconvenient, not because clover stopped working, but because Haber-Bosch created a product that had to be purchased. By 1945, the same chemical infrastructure that had produced explosive nitrates for World War II needed a peacetime customer. American agriculture became the answer. The USDA, supported by chemical industry lobbying, promoted synthetic nitrogen as the modern foundation of farming. Extension offices across the Midwest published bulletins encouraging monocrop production. Corn, wheat, soybeans, fertilized synthetically each season, with no clover rotation required. The USDA's 1947 Yearbook of Agriculture, distributed to millions of American farming households, mentions clover only as livestock forage. Its critical role as a free soil nitrogen fixer is absent from every one of its 900 pages. In the 1940s, clover was still listed as a desirable component in standard lawn seed mixes sold by OM. Scott & Sons, the company now known as Scott's Miracle-Gro, which reported $4.1 billion in revenue in 2022. Then, 2,4-D herbicide arrived, developed as a wartime defoliant and commercialized in 1946 by Dow Chemical and American Chemical Paint Company. 2,4-D kills broadleaf plants selectively. Clover is a broadleaf plant. Scotts began marketing 2,4-D as a premium lawn herbicide in the early 1950s. But 2,4-D killed the clover in their own seed mixes. The solution? Remove clover from the mix and reclassify it as a lawn weed. One business decision reclassified 2,000 years of agricultural partner as lawn enemy. A crop that restores soil without permission is dangerous to a system built on dependency. Clover cannot be patented. It cannot be owned. It does not require annual seed purchase, fertilizer input, or irrigation financing. It does not generate farmer debt. It competes directly with a $200 billion nitrogen market every single season it grows. In New Zealand, clover grass pasture farming remains the foundation of the country's $20 billion dairy industry. New Zealand farmers seed white clover alongside perennial ryegrass and use synthetic nitrogen sparingly, a system that outperforms nitrogen-dependent pastures in soil health. They never abandoned it. In France, Trèfle Blanc appears as a living mulch on organic polyculture farms across Brittany and Normandy. In the United States, the Rodale Institute's long-term farming systems trial, running continuously since 1981, demonstrates that organic systems using clover rotations match conventional synthetic nitrogen yields after a 5-year transition. Small farms across Vermont, Oregon, and Minnesota are reintroducing clover as their ecological nitrogen source. The knowledge never died. It went underground, like its roots, waiting to be remembered. That energy is fossil fuel derived. In 2022, nitrogen fertilizer prices in the United States rose 300% in 18 months, devastating small farm operations across the country. Clover is indifferent to gas prices. It does not need supply chains, shipping lanes, or sanctions-proof imports. It grows in drought, It survives frost. It fixes nitrogen whether the market cooperates or not. When industrial systems fail, and in a destabilizing climate, they will. Clover will be ready. It has been ready for 2,000 years. There is a plant in your lawn right now that is trying to feed your soil. You have probably sprayed it, pulled it, paid someone to eradicate it. It does not hold a grudge. It comes back perennial. Virgil named it. Monks rotated it for 800 years. Dutch families survived occupation because of it. In 1944, then a seed company needed to sell a broadleaf herbicide, and 2,000 years of agricultural partnership became a lawn management problem. We did not lose clover. We were sold a reason to poison it. It is still in every meadow, every roadside verge, every untended corner of every continent on Earth. Perennial, free, patient, deeply rooted, waiting.